All right, if it's Monday, you know we're talking about jobs, employment, and making money. And today on Job Center, we are talking about the business of talent. And have you ever thought of your talent as a money maker? Maybe it's time to quit your day job to go into this particular talent. Have an exciting panel lined up for you. But before that, let's jump into our regular segment, the Job Seeker. And today, we're talking to a young man called Mumo. Now, here's the special thing about Mumo. He actually works, he has a regular job, but has a part-time thing which he loves, and that is photography. So here's the story of Mumo, the Job Seeker.
My name is Mumo Liku. I am a student and also I work. I'm in the media industry. Basically, I do a lot of photography part-time, and I also work for a company called Buni TV part-time. Yes, we do all sorts of photography. We started a company together with a friend of mine while we were still in campus. So we used to do a lot of event photography, things that happen inside school, photo shoots for friends. And we started doing also events now outside of school. Actually, I went to school at Daystar University where I did my degree, and we had a class in photography. So that's how I was able to get to, hone my skills in photography. I was doing a course in communication, but photography was one of the courses that I was interested in. So I decided to pick it, and yeah, that's how I got into it. When I started out, I was just doing it for the fun of it, but I started to do it for money with the company that we started. So we usually used to charge our friends just some small money to come and do photo shoots. And after that, we started doing events for corporates and also for individuals, like birthday parties, corporate events for a few companies that we've done for. And yeah, so that it helps me get a few coins here and there.
That's right, that's the story of Mumo Liku, or the proprietor, or the founder of Duotrix. And what they do is that on their spare time, they take photographs, nice photographs that you can actually pay for. So let's talk about the business of talent. And joining me are people in this industry who don't need introductions, but for the sake of TV, let's do this. Giuliani,
yeah.
Your government names.
I'm Julius Owino.
Julius Owino.
I go by Julius Owino, yeah.
And Giuliani has done numerous things. If you haven't heard of Giuliani, then you're not doing life right. There's David Mureithi. David Mureithi has a long title, Creative Enterprises Trainer, and he's been behind some of the big names that we've seen there in terms of managing them, in terms of just molding this talent. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
Gentlemen, we're talking about, let's first react to the story of Mumo. Doing an excellent thing. There are lots of us who are doing that. We have a day job, but we have this thing that we love. David, from where you sit and what you've done over the years, what stops us from monetizing this talent?
First of all, I'm a living testament to his kind of story. I'm actually a trained auditor by profession.
Right.
But my passion was always music. So I really get where he's coming from. My passion was always music. I've been a DJ. I started DJing when I was 19. I started managing talent when I was 19. I think to understand what stops us monetizing it, we have to go 2 steps back and understand what that creative urge is. What tends to happen with the creative businesses is they usually start as an interest, as a hobby, just like he said. He just wanted to try something on the side. And then what happens, for example, again, taking his as an example, is a friend asks you, just take some photographs at my function at school or at campo or somewhere.
Yeah.
And you take it, and it turns out good, then he recommends you to somebody else, and then on the 3rd assignment, you actually paid some money.
Right.
Could be and usually very little at the beginning. It's like 1,000 bob, 2,000.
Yeah.
And the shock it hits you. It's like, I actually got paid for this. Like, I was doing this for fun. I got paid. And that's the first aha moment.
Right.
I would call that the infancy of the business. That's like the stirring, that happens. But you don't still realize that this could be a business.
Right.
And then that feeling continues and continues. And as your reputation grows, people pay you more and more.
Right.
And then suddenly you start realizing, hang on, I think I need to be a bit more professional.
Right. So it takes a life of its own.
It takes a life of its own.
Right.
And then you try and control that life.
Right.
And then what normally happens, the next stage, most people print a business card. That's when you know. That's when you kind of know it's
Right.
starting.
David, let me just bring in Juliani. Juliani, your first gig, how much did you earn?
Hey, usinikumbushe,
Ile ya kwanza
my
kabisa.
first gig I can remember so well, World Social Forum,
Right.
Kasarani. I was given 5K. I took a cab home. Buddha. Unaona?
Right.
And there ended your 5K.
Yani, no, it was at least 1.5, and then the rest I bought some shoes. But I think one of the things that it's not about being paid first. It takes 3 steps. First of all, it's talent. Then the more you do it, it becomes a skill. Once it becomes a skill and you realize that people actually want you to be in a certain space, then now it becomes a business because people are willing to even pay for that.
Right.
So initially, I started music when I was in school. So when I was in school, I just did it because it gave me an identity. As a rapper, when I rapped and I threw in some few lyrics, everybody was like, yeah. But now later, it came to a place where people told me, hey, you can record that.
Yeah.
Or when I won a few battles, few competitions, and then through that process then.
Right. Juliani, there are lots of guys who are wondering, yes, me and Msanii have this talent. Take us through the journey from the 5K to being one of the biggest names in Kenyan music right now. What are these things that specifically you had to put in place to make it professional?
I don't think we were aware that it was. We were here by default because it's Kenyanness. Kuna doa hapa Buddha, it's Kenyanness. But I think starting from the word go, one of the things that I've realized I've come to appreciate is process. Because people are willing to pay for something that it's worth something.
Right.
If you take a maembe on a tree, maembe on a tree is just a maembe. It can fall, it doesn't have value. But if you take that maembe and take it through a factory, and of course peel off whatever and cut it and then package it so well, people are willing to take it off the shelf. So I think the process is necessary. So you have to do as much shows as possible, free shows for you actually. It's necessary for you
before
to even develop your product. And for you to understand your kind of market, for you to understand what people like about you.
And gentlemen, this is not just music. This is any kind of talent.
It's definitely any kind of talent.
Right. Exactly. Just hold it thought. Let me introduce some few figures here. Sure. David and Juliani. These are the figures coming from the MCSK, the Music Society of Kenya. And what they do is pay royalties to artists. They try to collect all that figure instead of you walking around. 2012, 2013, 96 million is the total, what they paid in total in royalties. 2013 to 2014, up to date, we're talking about 119 million. Now, this involved what they're calling PPP, performances in public places, collection from broadcast and such like. Now, there's an association called the Kenya Association of Music Producers and also the PRISCA, and what they're saying is that as to date, what they collected from 2013 is 12 million. This is going to be paid to Kenyan artists. So, gentlemen, we're talking about real figures here, paid to real Kenyans who are actually doing this thing. David, what are these things that we always get wrong as artists in the quest to professionalize our talent?
Do we have all evening or? No.
The edited version.
The edited version. I said this on a radio show a couple of weeks ago. I think one of the big issues we're suffering right now is that Kenyan musicians are not hungry enough. And I'll state that and get eggs thrown at me, but they're not hungry enough.
Giuliani seems to agree.
Absolutely, because, and he knows, and we've spoken about this with him many a time, about what's going on in our industry. Why are the Nigerians taking over? Why are the South Africans taking over, you know, our music scene? At one point there was a bongo scene in Kenya, and there's always scenes taking over our territory. What's going on? Yet in the 90s, in the late 90s, we were leading. The urban sound started in Kenya. With Kalamashaka, with Hardstone, with Ogopa, with...
So hunger means the quality that we put out.
It's taking the hobby to another level. And not thinking it's a hobby 5 years later. We're not treating it like a hobby.
Giuliani, who are the people along your path that brought some bit of order, some bit of organization, be it marketing, be it looking for shows, branding your product? Because a lot of people watching out there saying, I have a talent, but who are these people? Where are these people?
Actually, to answer you and to pick up from where it left, is that most of the people who started music started as a hobby. For us, Aiko hobby is the only thing you're good at. That's the only thing that you're good at. So you have to make it right. You didn't pass school, and it doesn't mean that you're stupid. It's only that maybe...
It's just a different set of skills.
Exactly. So later now I realized that, oh, for you to be a musician, you have to have a vision of the end. You have to have a picture of the end and what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
It's simple. You have to have a goal, you have to have a target, and you have to write it down. I thought it was until David Kuria once sat me down, a guy, and I wrote everything that I wanted to be down. But now what came out of that is that I had to force myself to learn some things. I had to force myself to write professionally. I have to force myself to budget. I have to force myself to even write proposals to reach out to as many people as possible.
So it's a business. Gentlemen, time flies when you're having fun and having interesting conversations. I like your closing thoughts, David. Lots of young people out there watching right now and saying, yes, I have this talent, or even I don't like my job and I'm gifted in this other way. What do you tell them?
3 things very quickly. 1, make Google your friend. I mean, there's no excuse right now not having any information. It's all available at the University of Google. 2, work out what your brand is. What Juliani said about vision is so important. You have to have a vision. You have to sort of see yourself 5 years from now, minimally, 3 years even. But understand then what kind of look and what kind of brand, what does that look like? What does that success look like? What are you meant to? So that affects all your social media. You know, you're not going to start saying I'm a gospel artist and you're seen drinking, but thirdly, just be professional. And if you don't know what professional means, Google it.
Take us home.
I take it, I've done some steps back. Before even Google, practice.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Just practice as much and you'll get it right. The more you do it, the more you'll get it right. Yeah.
Okay, spoken from the man whose music is a business, or he's actually a business, to borrow Jay-Z's words. But we've been talking about the business of talent, and you see it out there, how you can monetize your talent and moving it from a hobby to a business. This has been Job Center.